Okay, so here we have the contents of the stomach. Not terribly exciting. Again, this is just dry cat food. And this is actually what chyme looks like. Okay, it's this kind of mashed up, ground up stuff. Not in a liquid state, but pretty soft and malleable. And then here is the stomach. I just rinsed it out. And let me kind of go over the parts again. So this right here is the duodenum as it exits out the stomach. This is called the pylorus, which is another chamber. This is the fundus. This is the greater curvature. This is the lesser curvature. And then this small tube is the esophagus. Okay, you can see the inside of the esophagus has all the villi, which are the little tiny folds that allow things to be absorbed. Now, there's no absorption that happens in the esophagus, so we'll open up in the interior of the duodenum, and you can see all of the villi, the small folds. Now, if we open it up, all these folds in here are called the rugae. And when your stomach is empty, the folds appear and they're more pronounced. And what it does, it's kind of like expandable pocket, like an expandable pocket on your suitcase. Well, what happens is as this gets full, these rugae disappear, and then the stomach is able to distend and maximize its volume, like a post-Thanksgiving dinner. And then, like if you're fasting, when you wake up in the morning, the folds are actually going to be more pronounced because there'll be very little material inside of your stomach lining. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to separate the intestines, the small intestines. We already have our first cut where we separated the stomach, and that is right here. And I'm just going to put a lateral cut. Ooh, I saw some roundworms right there. You guys see that right there? So the cat had a little bit of intestinal parasites. So before I break this all apart, I wanted to show you guys this. And that's pretty cool, backlidding. This is called the mesentery. And the mesentery kind of binds all of the intestines together. And this is so it doesn't strangulate the other organs inside of your abdominal cavity. And you can see if we spread it apart, you can visualize the blood vessels that carry the nutrients of digestion, the amino acids, the glucose, the fatty acids, away from the stomach or the intestinal lining to the liver to be filtered, to the kidneys to be filtered out. Okay, so this, it's pretty cool. It's like this stained glass of your abdominal cavity. And then you'll see these little nodules, which are lymph nodes within your, sometimes they're called Peyer's patches, within your intestinal tract, okay? This is all small intestine. Remember DJI. The duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum are the three parts. So we have our end here, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of break free all the intestines from the mesentery, okay? So I just kind of start in one place, and then make my separation all the way through. And you can kind of just do it with your hands. Little ASMR. See, it just kind of zippers away from the intestine. Velcro. Okay, and now we're at a junction. Okay, so this is the appendix. This is the cecum, and the appendix either lies on this side or this side. It's this flat, blind sac that we think at one time produced digestive enzymes to break up more plant matter. So we have an interface. See how small this tube is? This is the ileum, and then this is the ascending colon. Okay, see how wide it is comparatively? And then at the junction, this is the ileocecal junction. This is the cecum right here, which is just this little pocket where bacteria and things can be stored. If you get sick and you take antibiotics, sometimes the bacteria will store in this little place hidden away from the antibiotics and then repopulate your intestines once you're done, or once you're done with the treatment. So what I can do now, I'm gonna show you kind of how it sits in the body. So you have the ascending colon that comes away from the small intestine. You have the transverse colon that comes across the body, and the descending colon, which descends towards the sigmoid colon, which is the last kind of turn, and then down to the rectum in that passageway there. Okay, so I'm gonna make an incision right here. And I'm gonna cut, this is the ileum. Okay, so the ileum is the last part. There's no clear demarcations. The jejunum is in the middle part, and then actually the most of it's jejunum. And then the upper part right here is the duodenum. So the duodenum is the smallest, the jejunum is probably the biggest, and then the ileum is at the end. Okay, so you can see how much intestine this cat has. I mean, it's pretty extensive, right? And it actually is longer in other organisms. Since the cat is primarily a carnivore, it's relatively short. When we dissected rabbits last year, rabbits are herbivores, and so they have a much more extensive small intestine because they have to digest all that grass and plant fiber, okay? So you can see at the end, this is part of the pancreas that's attached to the duodenum, okay? Again, it's not terribly distinct. And here is the large intestine, and I can kind of open this up and you guys can see the interior a little bit. So we're gonna go through here, through the cecum, can't seem to get in there. There we go. And you can kind of see the inside of the colon. Okay, so that's the ascending colon right there. And then let's go back to the duodenum. That was the part that we made a little incision in. And I'm gonna go back, cut through it, and see if we can see any more the roundworms. Okay, so all of this, it looks like hair and stuff. That's all the villi and microvilli. Okay, all these tiny little extensions increase the surface area so we can maximize absorption. I'm not seeing any more, oh, maybe here's some right here. Yeah, there's some more right there. Look at that. That's a tapeworm. Hopefully you guys are seeing this. Let me see how far this tapeworm goes. Now, a lot of these cats that we got through dissection are feral cats. And so there's a fair amount of parasites in them. Hopefully this is all staying in focus. There, look at how big that is. This goes on and on and on and on and on. On and on and on and on and on. The beat don't stop till the break of dawn. I said on and on and on and on. And that looks like the end of it right there. So let's pull this out. I know I'm touching it with my bare hands. So that is a tapeworm. And then, where'd that roundworm go? There's a tiny little segment of the roundworm. I'll find the rest of it here somewhere. Okay. Shit. Okay, so now I'm going to take out the ureters and the bladder. And so this ureter is it's free, okay? Or this kidney, sorry. And then I'm going to remove this kidney. So I'm going to come over here, break the connective tissue that connects it to the dorsal wall. I'm going to come above the ureter, accidentally severed the ureter. Okay, so that's the right kidney. This is the left kidney. And then it all connects to the bladder. So here's the bladder right here. So I'm gonna cut these connective tissue. And then I'm gonna so here's the kidneys, here's the ureter. Both ureters are supposed to come over here, and the bladder. Okay, so let's review the structures. Here we have all the small intestines divided into 3 segments: duodenum, jejunum, ileum. Over here we have the omentum, again, which is loose connective tissue and fat that helps to insulate and protect the intestine or the abdominal cavity. Here are little flatworms taken out from the small intestine. Over here, this is the omentum and the spleen. The spleen is involved in filtering the blood and also producing red blood cells. Here we have the stomach and the rugae, the fundus, greater curvature, lesser curvature. There's the pyloric sphincter, and the beginning of the duodenum. And then up here we have the esophagus. Here's the stomach contents, the kibble. This is actually the renal capsule. This surrounded the kidney. Here I've done a butterfly cut on the kidney to kind of expose the major regions. This light colored area along the perimeter, that's called the renal cortex. The darker area in the middle is called the renal medulla. And then along the perimeter, you have these things called renal pyramids. They're kind of these pedal sections of the kidneys, and the kidney tubules actually dip down in these renal pyramids, and that's where the filtration happens and where nutrients are stored and waste products are pushed out. Waste products collect first in the minor calyces, all along the base of the pyramids, and then that filtrate all comes down through the major calyces, which is here, into the ureter, down the ureter to the bladder. So here you can see the renal capsule is still on top of the kidney. Here the renal capsule has been removed. And then here is the bladder with the 2 prostate glands on either side. The last thing I wanted to show you is in the thoracic cavity. You can see the ribs right here. You can see the diaphragm. And then this is the heart. Surrounding the heart is the pericardium. It's loose connective tissue that helps to prevent the heart from abrading, the tissue from getting damaged from the beating process. Here are the left lungs. Okay, they're lobular, just like the kidneys are. Here are the right lobes of the liver. There's 1, 2, 3 right lobes. There's 1, 2, 3 left lobes. Okay, this would be called the apex of the heart. Up here we have the atria. Down here we have the ventricles. These are the pumping chambers. And that's about it. This membrane encapsulates the whole thoracic cavity. It's called like a peritoneal membrane that surrounds it, and that's it. Thanks for joining me and the digestion dissection of the cat. I miss you guys. Take care.